Hello guys, it's Peter from PS Sound. This is now part 3 of this mid-bass install in the kicks in the Audi TT, and I thought to show you what the enclosures are like from the back. So that's the fiberglass mold, and then now the woodwork is done. Turn these around. So let's stand these up. Alright, so that's passenger side. All these gaps will be filled up with fiber filler all around. I've done a rough sanding on the plywood, which is going to make my life easier later on. And then in this part, first I'm going to show you in few steps how the shape becomes, you know, the final curve of the planned design, and then at the end, hopefully, I will also know what the drivers do in these enclosures in the car, and then I can talk a little bit about that. Hopefully, it's going to work out well. Let's do it. We are after 2 steps now. That pinky red layer that you see, that's the fiber filler that basically joined all the wooden pieces, all the gaps and everything. I just had a rough sanding on that. That's quite a tough filler type, pretty difficult to sand, so if you want to give it a go yourself, then you may need something a bit more than just a piece of sandpaper. You may need proper tools to make it a bit more efficient. And then this white stuff is a fine filler, which is quite easy to sand even by hand. And that piece is pretty much done now. It's nice to see the layers of the plywood in there. So that's the driver's side. It has a pretty nice shape now. So this is going to be like that in the kicks, and it's pretty heavy now because I don't know whether you can see all the steel shots inside, but yeah, it's pretty sturdy now. I was thinking to do a test. If I had time, I would happily drop it up in the air and let it just, you know, slam on the ground, see and show to people how solid it is. It wouldn't break. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy. I just have to sand this one now, and then after that, I have to prepare the car again and put these back and do the final contours to the shape of the car, and then probably another 2 sets of sanding, and then it's going to be ready for trimming. So now everything is prepared for the final shaping, filling the edges to the car. Like over there, I want to fill it up to have a seamless join to the sub enclosure, plus all the way to the trim panel on the side, and then in the same fashion all the way where the carpet was cut. You know, it's a couple of millimeters here and there, it's not much, but you know, it matters. Inside there you can see the 2 bolts which hold the enclosure, secure it to place. Yeah, it doesn't move anywhere. You can shake the whole car with it now, and especially once it's filled up all around, it won't have a chance to move anywhere. Once it's trimmed, it's gonna disappear. There's gonna be a grill in front of the driver, depending what driver we end up using. We will see. how they look, because look also matters. Ideally we want to, you know, get rid of the fact that we have speakers there, well, visually, and also acoustically. You don't want to hear where the driver comes from. Ideally you want to integrate that up to the mids and tweeters. The whole pillar is taken out now because we are taking the whole roof out and changing it, because the factory was grey and we want everything black. Yeah, it's so dark in this car that it's unreal. So yeah, I fill it up, then take them out, then I show what they look like once they come out of the car. Here we are. So the edges were filled up with that bridging compound, that green stuff, and then now I have to tidy it up. As you see, it's just a tiny bit here and there, it's not much, but it's gonna make a nice difference. Once it's all trimmed and put back, it will be like, you know, it was designed by factory to be there. So the test is gonna start with the dyno, the Isotar 650, which was supplied by the client, and that's his old speaker, and he's had that for probably like 8 years, he said. Just a small tip for everyone: when you want to test whether a box is sealed or not, obviously you have to listen for any leakage, but also when you push the cone in, and I try to put the camera close so you can see it, when you push the cone in and you let it go, then the driver should come back very, very slowly. If it pops back quick, it means it's not sealed, you don't have vacuum inside, and it won't control the cone as it should. You will have a leaky box, the performance will be obviously shit. So make sure that the box is 100% sealed. This one doesn't have a single hiss, and the cone looks moving the right way. So fingers crossed this will work in this small little enclosure, but I will still test 2 different drivers from Audible Physics. A cheaper line, AP 625, which retails at around 200 quid a pair, and the RAM 6A that many people should know by now, which retails at 319 in UK. Well, the 6A is the old model and it actually has run out, but I still have one used spare here at home for testing. So yeah, we will test these 3 drivers and then see what happens. But overall, it looks pretty cool. It disappears in the car. There's still enough space for the bonnet release catch, so he can open it. Plus, I had to leave an angle here because I'm not sure I can show it, but no, it's too dark. The OBD plug is in there, so if they have to connect to that, they can still do that. Here we are. Now one side is already trimmed and it looks pretty sweet, and this is also sanded, ready for trimming. Little drawing, that's one of the bridging compound layers in there. I like to use different colors for fillers, fiber fillers, and the reason is that when you sand, then you see how far you can go. So that red was the first fiber filler, filling the gaps between the plywood pieces, and then the green is the bridging compound to fill it up to the shape of the car, and then the white stuff is the fine filler for the final layer. I haven't showed something to you before, I think, when I was building enclosures. When you build a sealed enclosure, it's very important to keep it airtight, and where most of the enclosures can lose air is the terminal. Instead, I use a gland. you can feed the cable through, and with this tighten that up. There's a rubber grommet inside. Well, I don't think I have to explain, you know, what the gland does, but that tightens up, seals the cable, and then you have airtight box. I measured these earlier. Driver's side is 5.5 litre, which is around 0.2 cubic foot, and this is 6.5, a bit more. We will see whether it makes any difference in the performance. I don't worry too much about that, because if you were sitting in the middle of the car, then yes, you could possibly hear a slight difference between left and right, but as you sit offside, they will sound different anyway. If the difference was huge, let's say this was double the size, then that would be quite obvious, but it's not much of a difference. So I think I'm gonna break the video here and make it as the end of part 3, and the reason is that I have 5 hours to finish trimming of this, which shouldn't take long. Then I have to feed them, test 3 different sets of drivers, which works best, you know, at the moment, and then have a quick tune on the car, because the client is coming tonight to pick the car up. So I don't think I will have time for, you know, showing the test itself. I will probably make a 4th video to show what they look like in the car, and then probably an interview at the end with the client. You know, I can tell anything about what they sound like and how they work, but at the end of the day, the client has to be happy with it, and he's got a pretty good pair of ears. So we will see what he says, and fingers crossed he will like these nice little enclosures. Well, they are bloody heavy, that's for sure. I haven't measured them, but I filled them up with shitloads of steel shot, as you see in there. That's probably around 2 kilos of steel in each, and probably a liter and a half of milkshake, made of resin and fiberglass powder. So yeah, plus the filler on the top. So yeah, definitely solid. I don't think I will have to worry about any vibration. Cool, let's finish this video, guys. Just like in the usual fashion, please drop me any comments. I know I still owe a few of you, and I have to talk about a few things, like why you shouldn't use, you know, the kicks and the door location as well at the same time, and, you know, odds and cons, reasons behind it. I know I still have to, you know, explain those things, and I'm going to, but just please keep bringing the questions. I always like that. It helps me, it helps you, it helps everyone, and hopefully one day some of you can listen to this beautiful car, and then all this will make sense. So I hope to speak to you soon. Take care.